Everybody wants to know what I would do if I didn't win. I guess we'll never know.
Now, I seen on the internet some comments that LeBron made on Mind of the Game podcast, on this podcast. Now with Steve Nash, started with JJ Redick, so we can expect Steve Nash to have a coaching job this upcoming season. But he made some comments about the physicality of the playoffs. I didn't see the clip in full. Haven't been able to sit down and watch it until now, so let's check it out real quick. Got that queued up.
Let's start with the physicality. I mean, one thing is, like, the playoffs are always going to be more physical, but I think they're generally the last 10, 15 years, it's a big contrast from the regular season to the playoffs.
Yeah, the first thing I want to say to that is, like, if they're going to allow it to be as physical as it is, you got to give us a little time to prepare for it.
So, like, post-All-Star break, something like that.
I mean, post-All-Star break is usually like 30 games left, so maybe like, maybe 12 to 15 games left in the regular season. Okay, a month.
Yeah.
Give us a month to prepare for it because it goes from 0 to 100. It goes from us to be able to body check. You know, no body check, no hand checking, no pushing a guy off their spot, no rerouting guys at all.
Right. For
8-9 months, and then or for 6.5, 7 months, and then
have at it.
2 months straight. Have at it.
Have at it.
Like, straight up, just no holes.
I disagree. Here's why. It's called the playoffs. I don't know another way to describe it or how else I should put it. It's called the playoffs. We know what it is. We know what's coming. Now, granted, this year's playoffs, it was like the game mode got set to, Isaiah Stewart, Draymond Green. All right, it was a free for all, Royal Rumble, however you want to put it. But it's the playoffs. We know what this is about. We know every year the physicality is going to heighten. There's a number of calls that will be missed. It's going to be, a slow, dragging out, methodical pace to the game at times. The more physical team is going to dominate the game. A lot of areas like rebounding, defensive opportunities, where you're required to play a lot more defense, whereas in the regular season it's more up and down, up and down, up and down. Offensively, putting up a ton of points on the board, scoring in the 150s, 140s, so on and so forth. All that's cut down in the playoffs. We know that. All right. I think, you sometimes you got to go in with the mentality of, okay, right off the bat, we know the refs are bad. We know they're going to miss calls. We know quite possibly if this is a game 6 and Scott Foster is reffing the game, this is going to a game 7. Things like that, all right? You kind of already know. You know who the refs are. You know what the game is going to look like. That's why a ton of, and this is just a tip from sports betting, right? A ton of people follow the NBA refs page. They follow referee trends. They follow, how does this player perform when this referee is in the game? How many foul calls are involved when this referee is playing? So if you look at the refs and you say, all right, the number of foul calls is heightened with this ref, or the number of foul calls is lowered with this ref, sometimes you kind of know which way to lean as far as, player props and stuff like that. Just throwing that out there. But in reference to this conversation, right? You already know going from the regular season to the playoffs, it's going to be an elevated sense of there's going to be a ton of missed calls. They're probably going to let us play a little bit more. And you are one of the most physical, imposing players in NBA history. If I'm guarding you, I'm doing what Anthony Edwards did. I'm putting my hands on you a couple times up the court to let you know I'm not moving. And then when you cross that point where you get across half court, you get set up in the offense and you get the ball, I'm going to be even more physical with you because I know what I'm dealing with. So the comment about give us some time to get used to it, and I don't really agree with it, man. You know what it is. You know what it is, and you know what you're playing for. I think you just gotta
bar. And it's It's fun.
Yeah, I don't think
love
either
it.
of us have a problem with
we
it.
don't have a problem with it.
It's just a contrast.
It's just a contrast, you know, of not being able to get into that flow. So, yeah, it's definitely over the last, like you said, 10, 15 years, the game, they've allowed us to do it.
Yeah.
And it's fun. I personally wish we could do it all year.
Yeah.
But also have the body makeup for
Sure.
it to do it all year,
Yeah.
too. So, it wouldn't be beneficial to the product to do, run a marathon, run a sprint
Right.
during a marathon.
Right.
You know.
That's a great question. That almost draws me out of the discussion into like where are we as a game, right? Like we're playing faster, pace and space, and a part of that is because in the regular season and in the playoffs too, it is beneficial to play quicker to spread the floor, but it is a big contrast, and I think sometimes people will say, well, the numbers numerically, the playoffs aren't that much different than the regular season, but I think when you're out there on the floor, it's different.
Yeah, when you're out there on the floor, it's different. It feels different. It's different. The things that you're able to get away with, you can't get away with once the postseason starts. And like I said, I love it. It comes down to just making basketball plays.
Right.
It's not much foul baiting. It's not much, trying to trick the referees.
Right.
It's just like, how can we execute, get a bucket, get a stop on the other end?
Right.
And that's the true essence of the game.
Another way, the true essence of basketball is to adjust.
Yeah.
Right, adapt,
Yeah,
adjust.
adapt.
But I think that is one thing that's good about it is it takes the foul baiting out of the game.
Yeah.
You're less.
I disagree because I watched Jalen Brunson all playoffs, and that he was foul baiting. I'm not gonna hold you up. Everybody worried about SGA, and Jalen Brunson is running roughshod over the whole Eastern Conference and just doing whatever he pleases. He took somebody's hands. I'm pretty sure it was Neesmith. Took somebody's hand and smacked himself in the face with and looked for a foul. So the foul baiting is still there. But the thing about, going from the regular season to the playoffs is just that. It's not the regular season no more. All the other teams, they got sent home already. All right? Now you're in the playoffs. You're in a situation. There is, let me go down the list. All right? You got Cleveland, Indiana, New York, Miami with this current group. You got on the other side OKC, Minnesota. There's a number of teams that are without an NBA championship in the last several years, especially after Golden State rattled off, 3 out of 4, and then they came back, got another one. So there's a number of teams without an NBA championship. There's a lot of teams that have that first time hunger. Haven't gotten it done. Haven't gotten one yet. LeBron's on his way out. Steph's on his way out. KD's slowing down. Joker, their team was iffy because they just fired Mike Malone. Memphis, they fired their coach. There's a number of teams where you look around the landscape and saying, we can knock them off. This could be the year and our best chance, our best opportunity to get one and sneak one in before everybody gets back on the right track. And then all these teams come rushing in, getting healthy, getting all the players on the floor, making trades, making deals, making moves. We could see Kevin Durant in a new uniform. We could see Giannis Antetokounmpo in a new uniform. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, all these players could be on the move, right? Before that happens, before we got to deal with that, let's get it done now. That is the type of hunger you're dealing with going into the playoffs, an already physical situation, and that underlying, narrative there as well. You're going to have a physical presence on the basketball court every single night that you have to contend with. We talked about Draymond Green and, how he plays. We talked about Isaiah Stewart, and the Detroit Pistons is trying to bring back that bad boys feel. Every time you're on the court, you're going to feel their presence. You're going to feel that shoulder. You're going to feel that elbow. You're going to feel the muscle. They're going to put a hurt on you. And I think that it can go for an entire season. That's a type of basketball I enjoy watching. And guess what? Guys can still put up 110, 120, maybe even, some cases it could be under 100 and it'd still be a good game. Guys that love the game of basketball, fans that love the game of basketball will still watch. But I don't like these comments simply for the fact that you know what it is. Going from the regular season to the playoffs, you've been to the NBA Finals 10, 11 times or whatever the case may be. You know what it is. You know what that first-time hunger is like. And you played in Miami. Y'all was physical with teams. You were bullying teams. Y'all had guys that'd just come in there, use up 6 fouls. You had players like that. You played with Udonis Haslem. You know what it is, all right? But let me know in the comments. Would you want to see this physical playoff-style basketball for an entire 82 games of the regular season? That's one more for the good guys.